How did a copy of an Italian villa end up in Honolulu? Hi everyone, Ken here. Today we're uncovering La Pietra. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. Walter Dillingham was born in 1875 in Honolulu to a family of significant means and influence. His father, Benjamin Dillingham, had founded the Oahu Railway and Land Company, building the first railroad on the island and amassing a fortune in the process. From this solid footing, Walter forged his own path as a businessman and developer. Still in his 20s, he established the Hawaiian Dredging Company and took on ambitious projects that would modernize Hawaii. He famously dredged and built a dry dock at Pearl Harbor in 1909, cleared and expanded several of Honolulu's other harbors, and later drained the Waikiki wetlands to create the Alawai Canal in the 1920s. These endeavors, backed by political savvy and hard-nosed work, earned him enormous wealth and influence, as well as the moniker Baron of Hawaii Industry for his outsized role in developing the territory. By the 1910s, Walter Dillingham was a formidable force in Hawaiian business, with interest in transportation, construction, and real estate that made him one of the island's richest men. Meanwhile, Louise Gaylord brought her own impressive pedigree. Born in 1885 in Chicago, she was the daughter of Henry Gaylord, a successful banker, and Elizabeth Bessie Mitchell, heiress of a prominent Midwestern family. Tragically, Louise's father passed away when she was just 3, leaving her a substantial inheritance and securing her financial future. Raised in privilege, she received an elite education, attending Miss Spence's school in New York, and moved in high society circles. Louise also had cosmopolitan cultural exposure. Her maternal relatives included her Aunt Hortense Mitchell Acton, who owned a historic Renaissance villa in Florence, Italy. This European connection would later shape Louise's taste and ambitions. By the time she met Walter Dillingham in the late 1900s, Louise was known as a poised young socialite with a passion for civic causes and the arts. Their meeting sparked a trans-Pacific romance that bridged Hawaii's business aristocracy and Chicago's high society. Walter and Louise married in 1910, with the wedding taking place not in Hawaii or Chicago, but in Florence, Italy, at Villa La Pietra, the 600-year-old familial villa of Louise's Aunt Hortense. Surrounded by Tuscan gardens and Old World splendor, the couple's Italian wedding and honeymoon made a lasting impression on them. It was in those Florentine days that the Dillinghams' dream of building their own Italian-style villa back in Hawaii was born. Upon returning to Honolulu, the newlyweds initially lived at the Dillingham family residence, a home called Woodlawn, but Louise, enchanted by European villa life, envisioned something different from the old wood-frame island home. With Walter's considerable resources at her disposal, she began guiding their plans towards creating a Mediterranean palazzo under the Hawaiian sun. In 1917, the couple acquired a choice parcel of land on the southwestern slope of Diamond Head, a volcanic crater at Honolulu's edge. To some, the dry, scrubby slopes of Diamond Head seemed an odd, remote location for a mansion, but the Dillinghams were undeterred. In 1919, they commissioned David Adler, a noted architect from Chicago, to create a Hawaiian homage to Villa La Pietra and other Renaissance estates they admired. Adler was an inspired choice. Educated at the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, he was esteemed for designing elegant country houses in historical European styles. Corresponding by telegrams and letters, Adler drew up plans for a sprawling villa that would take inspiration from Florence without simply copying it. One guiding principle from Louise was that their Honolulu La Pietra should capture the spirit of her aunt's Italian villa, the graceful arches, courtyards, and classical details, but be uniquely adapted to Hawaii's environment. The resulting design was a 2-story Mediterranean Revival mansion built around a central courtyard, complete with arched arcades and a red-tiled roof. Adler specified locally sourced materials where possible, giving the villa a sense of place. Hard basalt rock hand-cut from the nearby quarry formed much of the structure's skeleton, and sandstone was quarried at Barber's Point on Oahu to craft the courtyard's elegant columns and door frames. To achieve the proper villa aesthetic, Adler insisted that once the stone walls were in place, they be coated with 4 inches of plaster and tinted, creating the warm pink stucco finish of an Italian palazzo. Every detail, from the wrought iron balconies to the imported Italian tiles, was meant to evoke the Renaissance in a tropical setting. Construction of La Pietra stretched over several years. By the time it was completed in 1922, it had cost the staggering sum of $400,000, equivalent to about $7.7 million today. The money bought true opulence. The main house was immense, yet designed for comfortable island living. It boasted 5 large public rooms on the ground floor, including a grand salon, formal dining room, library, and billiards room, all arranged around an open-air courtyard planted with tropical flowers. Once the Dillinghams settled into La Pietra in the 1920s, their home quickly became the social epicenter of Honolulu's elite life. For over 4 decades, the villa played host to glittering parties, charitable events, and political gatherings, all orchestrated under the gracious eye of Louise Dillingham. The estate was deliberately oriented to take advantage of natural spectacles. The Dillinghams loved to plan soirees timed with the moon rising over Diamond Head or the sun setting in fiery glory over the range. Inevitably, a house of such characters spawned its own lore. One oft-repeated story involves the Honolulu Zoo, located not far below the estate. On quiet nights, the roar of the zoo's lions would drift uphill, so much so that Louise half-jokingly complained that the animals kept her awake at night. As the 1950s gave way to the 1960s, Walter and Louise entered their final years, having left an unforgettable mark on Hawaii. In 1963, at age 88, Walter passed away, and just 3 months later, Louise followed her husband of 53 years to the grave. With Walter and Louise gone, the question remained, what would become of the magnificent villa on Diamond Head? The Dillinghams' gift of La Pietra was as generous as it was forward-thinking. Upon Walter's death in 1963, ownership of the estate passed to Punahou School, Hawaii's oldest and most respected private school. Punahou initially made use of the property by converting the mansion into faculty housing. One can imagine teachers' families living in various wings of the grand house, perhaps even partitioning those once stately rooms into modest apartments. However, it was clear that long-term, Punahou had little practical use for the sprawling villa and its upkeep. By the late 1960s, the school was looking to sell La Pietra, and there was a very real danger that this historic home might be lost to developers. Several prospective buyers eyed the prime 5-acre property with an eye toward demolition. The land alone was valuable, and there were plans floated to raise the villa and replace it with dense housing units. Honolulu's rapid development in the 1960s had already claimed many other historic mansions, and La Pietra's fate hung in the balance. In 1968, a cohort of Honolulu's mothers and educators had a bold idea to start a new independent school for girls, one that would offer a college preparatory education in a small, nurturing environment. When these women learned that La Pietra was available, they saw not a dusty old mansion, but the perfect setting for their envisioned school. Over the subsequent decades, La Pietra, Hawaii School for Girls, grew and thrived, all the while cherishing its unique campus. And today, La Pietra the mansion lives on, not as a private estate of the past, but as a vibrant institution shaping the future of Hawaii's young women. And with that, I'll turn it over to you. What did you think about this Italian villa in Hawaii? Did anything stick out to you? Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.